Hello, I'm Bill McDonald of Charlotte County Libraries and History, and welcome to Center Stage Charlotte County. We have a really special guest today. It's John Nowak, who was not only a successful Hollywood stunt person for film and television, but he also doubled for Patrick Stewart from Star Trek. Welcome to Center Stage
Thanks.
Charlotte County, John.
Thanks, Bill.
How did you get started in being a stunt person?
Stunts is something that, as a kid, I always played cowboys and Indians. You know, climbing
Sure.
rocks, climbing trees, all that kind of stuff. And we happened to live in California, and real close to my house was a ranch called Corriganville, which some people called the Lone Ranger Ranch because it was where they shot Lone Ranger, Rin Tin Tin, thousands of movies. And we'd go out there on the weekends because it was like in a small amusement park. And they had little stunt shows. There were guys that were doing street fights and falling off of buildings. And of course, as an 8-year-old kid, I thought, this is for me.
This is for you.
And so throughout my life, I kept that in the back of my mind until one day, just out of high school, a friend of mine says, I actually know a real stuntman. And of course, I had to have him introduce me. And then he sent me to a place that actually was a stunt school. So I went to a stunt school for a couple of years and learned the trade and got my start through the teacher of that school, a guy named Paul Stater, very famous stuntman. And he was a wonderful teacher and a very good friend of mine. So that's how I got started.
Wow.
And of course, the rest is history.
Rest is history. Now, one of your first films was The Towering Inferno, I believe that came out, 1974, maybe?
Yes, that's right out of that stunt school. My first job, my friend Paul Stater got me started and put me in that movie, and I was hooked.
What was the experience like?
It was very interesting because having never been in a movie before, I was quite excited, of course, but I was quite prepared. I mean, the stuff I did was just the same things you practice in the gym. You shoulder rolls and tuck and roll and do all this stuff. Then you go higher and you go higher and you do all these things, and then it comes to use in a movie, and you're already prepared. And they had a window I had to go through, a breakaway window. And I thought, this would be exciting. And it wasn't a big stunt, but it did become part of the poster for the movie. It was in the trailers and everything. It was quite one of Irwin Allen's favorite.
Irwin Allen, yeah.
He had the still of that picture on his wall.
Yeah, for some of our younger viewers, Irwin Allen was the master of disaster films in the 70s. Yeah. And of course, you work for not only film and television. So what was the experience doing stunts for film different than television or vice versa?
You wouldn't know the difference if you get a call from your friend who's the stunt coordinator, and you show up on set, and they have your chair and they have your trailer that you sit in. Your costume, you check in the morning and sit around all day, about 12 hours of sitting and five minutes of exciting work, and it's the same for TV or movies.
Now, when you're a stunt person, do you report to the stunt supervisor? Or do you...
They usually, almost always have, and they've made that a rule that they have to have a stunt coordinator if there's any kind of action on the set. Even if they don't have stuntmen, the coordinator still has to make sure that actors are safe. And in fact, a lot of times the stuntman may only be there to do the stunt first to see how difficult it is, and then the actor can decide, I might want to do that. He made it look really easy.
Yeah.
Of course,
it's a lot harder than it looks.
Yes, and we're trained.
Absolutely.
But they do let some actors do it, but that's up to the coordinator.
Now, everyone knows that stunt personnel are used for action films, horror films, and even science fiction films. So what about dramatic films?
Yeah, drama, comedies.
Comedies?
Soap operas. I've done soap operas, comedies. I've done all kinds of things.
What sort of things would you do for like a non-action film, like a soap opera or
Soap opera, I played a bad guy that kidnapped Robin Wright, of all people. And this was in late 80s, I think. It was called Santa Barbara. And she was one of the stars of that show. And so I was a motorcycle gang guy, and he kidnapped her and had lines and did all that kind of stuff. And, got beat up and trapped. And, of course.
Sure. Now, are certain stunt people, do they specialize in certain things? Let's say driving motorcycles or cars or combat, or does each stuntman do a wide variety?
Right.
Is there more specialization, or are they more generalists?
Both.
Okay.
So you got all kinds.
Yeah.
You got guys that only do specialty things, but they're the best. There's guys that ski cars on two wheels. You've seen that in commercials.
Sure. Okay.
And I could tell who's doing it because there's only one guy that does it driver's side up. Most of them do driver's side down.
Wow.
So I could tell by watching, there's Buzz Bundy going by.
Oh, okay.
But specialties, sure. The more things you can do, the more opportunities come up. And but most stunt guys, unless they're the double of the major star of that film, fall into a category of nondescript stunt player. And they might just be assigned different things. You crash this car, you get in a fight, you do this, you do that. But if you're the star's double, you may end up doing all kinds of things.
And speaking about stars double, how did you get started doing doubling for Patrick Stewart?
Well, I was fortunate enough to know the guy that was running the first episode. And the first couple episodes of the series, they didn't have a set coordinator. They had different people come in. But the one guy, I was fortunate enough to have the one guy know me and goes, "Oh, he's a great look-alike. He'd be the right size,
That's right,
the right double, and all that."
Yeah.
And it worked out. And then I stayed on and did all 7 seasons of the series, and then did action in 3 of the 4 movies. And yeah.
Now, it seems like popular conception of Patrick Stewart is he's a great guy. He has a terrific sense of humor.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart. Excuse me. Please forgive me.
Yes.
Did you find that to be the case, that
He's exactly as you see him on, holds himself very eloquently.
Yes.
He speaks eloquently and holds himself very, prestigiously. And yeah, he's just, and very kind, very kind.
Yeah.
Very nice guy. But yeah, and most of the stars I've worked with there's quite a bit of the element of themselves in the characters they play. Not to say that if they're a bad guy, they're bad guys. But their persona comes through pretty much. There's not a lot of acting going on. They have a good personality that comes through.
Were any certain memories stick out in your experience doubling for Patrick Stewart?
Well, yeah, we were. One of the best ones was the, I think it was called Generations. It was the first Star Trek crossover movie. That's where the old crew and the new crew, this Next Generation, kind of mingle and interchange. And that's the one where Kirk dies. So we had some,
Oh, wow.
we had some things with just, I think it was Kirk and his double. Malcolm McDowell as the bad guy, Soren and his double, and then me and Patrick. So there's very few people out on this location doing these things. So we got pretty close, and I had him sign one of the call sheets one day. He goes, "Oh, you did a great fall today." So that was terrific, a highlight for me because I'm not a collector of autographs, but when somebody like that's going to tell you he's really happy with your work
and your colleagues making the film, and there's a shared connection.
We were very close on that.
Absolutely. Now, did you enjoy the television more than the film, or were they about equal?
About equal.
About equal. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Now, of course, Patrick Stewart. Other big names that you were involved with: Clint Eastwood, Sudden Impact. What was that experience like?
That was a great movie. It was the second movie I had done with Clint. First one was Any Which Way You Can, and
That's with the orangutan, right?
with the orangutan.
Yeah.
I played a biker, so it was a part.
Yeah.
And then this one, it was a part. The coordinator on that, both of those was his longtime stunt double, Buddy Van Horn.
Oh, yeah.
And Buddy had just recently passed away. He was quite an older guy, very nice guy. I really loved working for him. And he called, and he offered me a couple of different things on that, the sudden impact one. There was a spot in it that I think it was a high fall off of a roller coaster or something, and then he mentioned this part, and a part, and then you get to ride a motorcycle, steal a bike from a meter maid, and rob a bank and all that. So I said, oh, that's the one for me.
And you were showing me a clip of this before the interview started, and you actually took a shot at Mr. Eastwood.
Right.
Right, but was it behind your...
Yes. Well, he's behind me. I'm shooting at the policeman who's coming up.
Yeah.
And, that's quite a thing to talk about guns, safety at this point, because with all the things happening on the set of Rust.
Oh, right.
And all that.
Yeah.
That's not the first time somebody's died on set. I could name 2 other times where people have been killed with blanks. Now, this was a live
Brandon
round,
Lee, I think.
right? And then a guy named John Eric Hexum.
Was it like in the mid-'80s?
Yes, in mid-'80s. I had just worked with him 2 weeks before that. And
oh, my gosh.
he was just sitting around. He was on the set. He had a prop gun. I think it was in between takes, and he just goes, I wonder what would happen. It's just a blank. And, he found out, but very sad.
Yeah,
he was
only
a
like
rising
24
star.
or 25. Yeah.
Very young. And
Wow.
anyhow, with guns, the thing is, there's always a armor. And when I did my shot, first time he hands it to me, he goes, this is how it works. This is what you do. Here's how you hold it. And then also goes, make sure you don't point at the person, because the camera can't pick up if it's right at them or slightly off. So let's just be a little safe. Let's go slightly off. That's how I was always taught.
Wow.
So we did that, and the first time I fired, it didn't work. So I had to hand it back to him. He took it all apart, made sure it was, put it back. Okay, take 2. Boom, it worked that time. But like I say, you don't aim at.
Don't
the
aim
person.
directly at the person.
You never.
There's a good thing to keep in
Yeah.
mind.
So
Now, and as far as television, you worked on a show which I grew up totally on. It was Happy Days. Tell us a little bit about that.
I had just got back from. I was in California. I just got back from Tallahassee, working on Airport 77, and I got a call from my answering service. And it's rare that they'll call and offer a job, but somebody had called them going, I just need some young guys, because I don't know who's young in this business, but we need young guys for Happy Days. So I said, oh, yeah, great. So I showed up, and I played a part and did a little fight with Potsy.
Potsy.
And,
Fight with Potsy. That's fun.
Yeah, Joni's Weird Boyfriend is the episode.
Oh, Joni's Weird Boyfriend. Yeah.
It's still playing, still getting their residuals.
Wow. Now, you, of course, started in the 70s.
Yes.
Did the practice of being a stunt person, the field, the work itself, change much between the decades, the 70s, 80s, and 90s?
Well, the people sure did. I mean, when I started, I was still working with some of the really old guys. In fact, I had worked with guys that had worked on Keystone Cops, all kinds
of silent films.
Yes, that went way back, and guys that had worked on things with Errol Flynn, and a lot of that. So there was a lot of neat stories I had got from those guys. But as far as the work goes, I think we're pretty much doing the same work today that we did back then, but they're enhancing it with CGI.
CGI, sure.
Like you may start doing a fall, and they may make the thing look like it's thousands of feet high, or whatever, or over a cliff, and then it just keeps going. But you might start the fall and then go into, maybe there's a green screen or something that they'll add whatever background to. But CGI is going to enhance, but we still have to do the falls. We still have to do, a lot of stuff. Although one thing that they've done that we didn't do back then is incorporate cables. Like some of these martial arts pictures, Crouching Tiger and all this, where they're doing all this flying around and kicking and stuff. They're on cables,
Yeah.
And so the guys here thought, well, why couldn't we take that, and when we take a hit or a gunshot or something, why don't we expand that and put cables on and pull the guy really far and have him fly? And so they invented things that we never did, but that's just technology. But as far as physical stunt work, a pratfall's a pratfall, and some of that is the hardest stuff. Just falling to your face to the ground from from standing, or backwards. Just
Now, as far as the did stunt people socialize with one another, or did they hang out with
that's
actors or other people in the crew, or do they stick to
No,
themselves?
I've known some stunt guys have married some very famous actresses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so people do hang out, and but stunt guys in general are buddies. That's how you get your work, is the stunt coordinator, and pretty much he only hires the people he knows.
Oh, okay.
So you got to know a lot of stunt coordinators, and then you got to be on their list somewhere. You may be down here on this guy's list, over here on this guy's list, over here on this guy's list. So the more people you know, the more likely it is that you'll work.
Now, what did you like best about being a stunt person?
Oh, it was always fun, always different.
The physicality of it?
Yeah,
or?
Right. Like I say, when I was a kid, that's all I did was pretend to do all these things. So it was fun to be a fireman, a policeman, a bank robber, all the different things I've done.
What would be like the average day? Let's say you're working on a film or television. You kind of give us, like when you get to the set, what would be like your typical day as a stunt person?
You make sure they know you're there, and then they assign you your little dressing room, whether it be a trailer or something, and you usually go get dressed and be ready, because our guys are always the one, we're ready, we don't want to make people wait for us, so we get ready, sit around, and then that's it. Sit and wait. You might have meetings about what kind of things are going to happen that day, especially if it's a big stunt or involved a lot of people. There'll be a walkthrough. There might even be miniatures if there's cars involved or people, or they'll reenact it so you get a good idea of what you're doing. Sometimes you even rehearse, but 12 hours of boredom and 5 minutes of excitement.
Yeah. Which is also true with actors and other people on the crew as well. Waiting around. Are there any misconceptions about stuntmen that the general public has?
I don't think so. I think there's so many different types of people doing stunts that there's no misconception.
Right.
If you think a guy is a daredevil, there probably is a guy that is.
Yeah.
But in general, no, we're trained and we're, pretty level-headed, and we know our limits. Hey, that's not me. You should get this guy because that's what he's really good at. And I'll do that. I've turned things down just because that's not something for me.
Yeah.
Now,
were there any skills that you didn't have, or when you said you went to stunt school?
Yeah, went to stunt school and then hung out with the guys. And then we'd go out and we'd buy dirt bikes and go dirt biking. We'd buy mountain gear and we'd go rappelling down mountains. We'd go out and scuba dive. So, yeah, that was the stuff we did for fun. But it was, a tax write-off, too.
And also training for future film and television work.
Plus, that guy now knows that I can do it because he's seen me do it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And you never know who's going to end up running a show.
That's true. Yeah. So were there any type of stunts that you enjoyed more, like, I get to fall, or I get to ride a motorcycle, or I get to throw a punch? Is there any that you especially love more than your others?
Yeah, I don't know. I liked them all. Yeah. Sometimes I got to the point where if it was a big thing and I didn't know how big it was going to be. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but most of the time I was having so much fun. I thought, yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, motorcycle. Okay, great. What do I have to do? Where am I? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I liked it all.
Liked it all. Now, what advice would you give to some aspiring stunt person today, some male or female that's watching this interview?
Know somebody in the business.
Oh, that's...
I mean, I don't know how I can say it any better than that, because if I were to try to get in the business right now, I wouldn't even know where to go or how to do it, because it's the connections are all different now.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't know where to start.
Did you grow up in California?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was
So
born.
I think that
born and lived
helps
in
to be close
California.
to the film and television
Yes,
industry too.
Chatsworth, California. Chatsworth is where
Yeah.
all the movie ranches, Iverson, Spawn Ranch, where the Manson family lived. There's a dozen of them there.
Now, also, you are, besides being a stunt person, you are also a musician, and you play...
Aspiring musician.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think you're a full
Yeah.
entitled musician. You play surf rock. Tell us
Yes,
about your musical
I've played in
background.
probably a dozen different types of bands. Anything from bluegrass gospel to surf rock to country music to top 40 pop to cover bands. I mean, I've done it all, and yeah, it's all fun and all different, and so many songs to learn. I don't know if I have any room in my head to remember any other thing. There's just so much up there, just crammed up there.
And you're with a surf rock band?
Instrumental surf rock. I've been in a couple of those bands, and that's kind of a niche, because it's not something you could play to get people up and dancing to so much. But it is great for a art and wine festival or a car show.
Exactly.
People are walking by.
Yeah.
Oh, great! Yeah, listen for a while, and they walk by, and then another group walks by, and it's also good for the band, because you don't need 4 hours of music.
Right.
You could have an hour's worth and repeat. But the bands that I've played in country bands and cover bands, and a lot of that gets kind of old, because you have to play restaurants and bars, and I'm not really big into late nights and all the big setups with lots of equipment. So
Yeah.
the simpler the better for me. So, but I've done it all.
Done it all. And
I play guitar, I play bass,
oh, okay.
and it varies on which band I'm in, what I'm playing.
Do you have a particular style of music you enjoy more than the others? Or are they all
I'm a classic rock guy.
classic rock guy?
Yeah, I love that stuff.
You grew up liking the Beatles, I assume?
The Beatles started me.
Yeah.
Saw them at Ed Sullivan. Had to have a guitar, and so, 12 or 13, I guess I got one at Christmas, and
When you were growing up, because you said you were also interested in stunts, did you one day, like on Tuesday, I want to be a stunt person, and Wednesday, I want to be a rock star?
Well, no, the stunt thing I kind of put on the back burner, because I never thought, well, how am I going to do that? I don't know. I wouldn't know where to go, wouldn't know who to talk to, until my friend said, hey, I know this guy. And really? And that's what woke that up.
Wow.
But I was going to school, and I was in college taking drama. My major was drama. I was thinking of being a drama teacher.
Oh, okay.
I thought that would be the way to go. And I probably would have, but I stopped doing that once I started working in stunts.
Yeah.
And stunts is one of those, it's a full-time job, just trying to keep busy. You don't work every day. It's not like you could just call in and, hey, I want to work. Well, so does everyone.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to be called by somebody that knows you.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, listen, John, it's been fascinating talking with you.
Thanks.
I want to thank you for being a guest on Center Stage Charlotte County. And our guest is John Nowak, who is a stunt person and was a stunt double for Patrick Stewart, worked with Clint Eastwood, was on Happy Days. And we thank you for joining us for Center Stage Charlotte County. Thanks. Thank you.